Hi, welcome to Not My Usual Read, a couples book exchange podcast. I'm Charlie,
And I'm Jenny.
and this week is our first buddy book. We need like
Yeah.
a drum roll or something. What exciting times. This is our first buddy book. It's Salem's Lot. If you haven't listened to the previous episodes, maybe go back like 2 episodes, listen to our two-part book review on Fourth Wing and Dark Matter.
Yes, it was our first book exchange where Charlie read a book that I gave him and I read a book that he gave me.
Yep. Yeah, and it was pretty good. I liked Fourth Wing. I think Jenny liked Dark Matter.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was forced to step out of my comfort zone and I actually really enjoyed it. Now this one that we're reading currently, Salem's Lot, I'm enjoying it. It is very different from my typical. So, I think I'm getting just really shoved out of my comfort zone here with this one. But I
Yeah,
don't hate
I
it.
mean-
I like it.
I was kind of shoved out of my comfort zone with Fourth Wing, so
That's fair. You loved it.
yeah. Yeah, I think Jenny caught me looking at some fan fiction just because, I gotta know these characters. I like watching the movies or the shows, and I can,
You can
visualize
visualize
people
it.
in my head.
I know. That's what fan art is so fantastic about. Like,
Yeah.
you need it. I have to do it. I mean, you already know I'm a very visual person.
Hmm.
So I personally love looking at fan art whenever I want to see, like, what people think that the character looks like. Then there's some fan art, and I'm like, that is not what they
It's
look
not
like.
them, yeah. Yeah, I mean, well,
Good try.
I've told
again.
you, I think Xaden will always be Jason Momoa in Game of Thrones to me.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. I try to picture him as someone. It's like an AI character for me. It's like, that's the
Right.
closest that I have seen
well, in
was like a
Violet,
fake person.
yeah, in Violet, like, I have no idea who I would say
She has like like a
who
apple
she is.
face. I don't know. I want to say like, I don't know.
I mean, if it was a book or not a book, it is a book. If it was a show or a movie, probably Jenna Ortega
No.
because she's in everything.
No.
And then Xaden
No,
would
Jenna
probably
Ortega's like kind
Xaden
of.
would be some like old man.
What?
I'm just they'd probably cast some like stupid casting choice.
They're going to make it into.
I know. We're gonna wait and see.
Oh, no, they're not.
A show, yeah, it's gonna be a show. I think
Fourth
Amazon
Wing?
bought the rights. Or
That's ACOTAR.
no, Fourth Wing.
Did they?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's funny that
We'll
you know
have
that
to-
before me.
Well, I looked it up because I was like, "Is this a show? Is it gonna be a movie? Who are the casting?" 'Cause,
Everything
yeah, I
that's
need to-
popular right now gets bought up.
I need to
The
see.
rights are bought pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because they know we like.
Well, yeah, it's a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a
So-
great book series.
But back to this week, I think Jenny, I was gonna say you should read the back of the book. We read it last week, but in case you missed last week's episode,
Yeah.
this will be kind of a little synopsis, kind of a little overview of what Salem's Lot is all about.
Yes. Ben Mears has returned to Jerusalem's Lot in hopes that exploring the history of the Marston house, an old mansion long the subject of rumor and speculation, will help him cast out his personal devils and provide inspiration for his new book. But when two young boys venture into the woods and only one returns alive, Mears begins to realize that something sinister is at work. In fact, his hometown is under siege from the forces of darkness, and only he, with a small group of allies, can hope to contain the evil that is growing within the borders of this small New England town. The evil on the back has a lowercase evil, so it's a quiet evil.
It's not a loud evil, yeah.
Now, I mean, it's very much so. I mean, he mentions the story of the haunting of Hill House, but it very much so has that like evil house menacing like.
Yeah, in some ways, it almost reminds me of The Shining. Like the
Yeah.
hotel's evil,
Yeah.
this house is kind of evil. It's like
I
kind of
really enjoy the idea of a house. I mean, like we've all heard of a haunted house before, but like this house that is like influencing and impacting all of the people in the town, like this beacon of evil, is interesting.
Well, in all those, it's not the house that's haunted; it's the things that are inside of it. This is like the house is an idol for like evil and
Yes, it's
terrible
like,
things.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I'll read the other one, which we talked about earlier. I've never read a prologue in my life. I never will.
yeah, well, now you are.
I'll die on that hill. Because this other one, which you found on Goodreads, this is like a little synopsis. This is very different. And I read this and I was like, is this the same book? Because I don't know who this is about.
He's never heard anything about it. And I'm like, it's because you didn't read the prologue.
Well, and we were talking about it and she was like, this whole man and little boy walking through the woods. And then I start the book and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That wasn't in my book at all.
Woods.
Well,
They're
it's all
just,
about
like,
a man and a boy.
in a hotel room and like far away.
Yeah, so it's from the prologue. So Goodreads, the synopsis is thousands of miles away from the small township of Salem's Lot, two terrified people, a man and a boy, still share the secrets of those clapboard houses and tree-lined streets. They must return to Salem's Lot for a final confrontation with the unspeakable evil that lives on in the town.
Oh my
Boom.
god.
So pretty similar, but very different from the other one you just read.
Yeah, because you didn't read the precursor.
The prologue, and I will.
I know.
I will do it after we're done with this.
Yeah, you need to.
Like I said, I've never read one. This will probably be the first one I've read. Because I just assumed it, like I said, I thought it was like, it wasn't like the thank you section, like I dedicate this book to my wife and kids. But
Yeah,
like,
it's part of the story.
I thought it was just like,
You've never known that that's part of the story?
I just always skip it.
Okay,
Just
well,
get to the. So I have two traditions with books. I never read the prologue.
you read the last.
I read the last paragraph of the book before I start the book.
Jesus.
Which, funnily enough, in Fourth Wing kind of spoiled it because Brennan talks. He's
Charlie,
in like the last.
You did not do that
Well,
in this book.
You I think I
did.
did, yeah.
You just now read it. You're just now coming clean. So you knew Brennan.
You just said you knew what my second tradition was, so you know.
I did know that, but I didn't know you did it to Fourth Wing.
Well, I wrote it off. I'm like, it's probably like a past memory or something, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to.
But then as I was
stop
getting
it.
closer and Zayden's like, let's get this other guy in here, I was like, it's going to be Brennan for sure.
Charlie, that's like one of the biggest twists, and I was so excited for you to read that, and no wonder you weren't like, you know. I remember when I read that, I was like, oh my god, her brother's alive.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But, anyways, okay, so back to Salem.
I didn't say it was a good tradition. I've just always done that. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's a good tradition.
Not the whole page, just the last paragraph, just boom. Normally it's just like, and they walked away and had a good laugh. Like it's normally like totally inconsequential to the story.
Yeah.
It just so happened Fourth Wing, the character you think is dead the whole time isn't, and he talks in like the last paragraph.
That's because
the last paragraph
how
of the
often
book.
do you read books? You read a lot of like novels, like one book, and it's done. I read a lot of series, and
yeah.
it's really dangerous for you to do that because they leave you on a cliffhanger. The last like page of the book is like oh crap, now I gotta finish. Now I've got to start the next one. That's why they do that.
Hey,
So
I'm not changing, all right? You can't change me for nothing.
okay, well I'm gonna read.
I'll start
the
reading
last-
prologues, but I'm always going to read the last paragraph.
I'm gonna warn you ahead of time
Tradition.
if it will spoil it. Okay,
Yeah,
going
maybe
back
you
to the
start
book.
reading them ahead of me.
So we found this really funny review on Goodreads. Charlie, do you want to read this one?
From Ducky? Yes. So Ducky had to say, it's like The Haunting of Hill House and Dracula had a baby they were both a little embarrassed about.
Which, I mean, he does talk about The Haunting of Hill House. I think it influences,
Yeah, and Dracula.
like, the theme.
Yeah.
And then Dracula, obviously. But he talks about Dracula whenever, like, so I listened to the audiobook, and in the whole first portion of the audiobook, you get to, like, have an interview with Stephen King. And Stephen King talks about how not only the Dracula is, like, very romanticized, like, very proper vampires influence his story, but he was more influenced by, like, old comic books of, like, these, like, very, like, vulgar and really, like, harsh vampires that like had the waxy skin and the bald heads and the teeth that tore instead of
and it
gently
Gently just give him a little kiss.
Yeah, sucking the
Skins of a
blood.
killer that are all shiny.
Well, like the Dracula kind of, I've never read Dracula, but like I'm
I haven't
assuming
either.
that it's more like romanticized.
Well, yeah, I think I mean, I've never read it. I think it's kind of like a love story,
Yeah.
but it also reminded me, which you don't like this movie. I'm a big horror movie guy, but 30 Days of Night,
Yeah,
and that's also I don't think it's from Stephen King. It's like a graphic novel, but those vampires are very like gross and like
yeah.
really graphic and
Yeah.
really rip people.
I've seen that
apart,
movie. Is it based on a book?
A graphic novel, yeah.
Yeah. No, but those are very vicious vampires. I remember seeing that in the movie.
Yeah, but they don't pretend to be like at least the vampires in this one like pretend to be like upstanding citizens.
Yeah.
They just come in and start messing people up.
Yeah.
So
It's like wreaking havoc. Okay, so
Yeah.
another
next review.
review. It's a little bit more political. I don't know.
Not
This
political. It's just
fine, not political, but like I don't know. Why don't you just take a listen? So Elena from Goodreads says, I realized I'm reading Stephen King 50 years too late, but I can't swim in the ocean of white, straight, male hetero. Which, I mean, I kind of get what she's saying. But I also, she even said it herself, it's 50 years in the past,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, this book came out in 1975. And
Yeah.
It was written in
Yeah.
probably a couple of years before that. So
Yeah, no, it's very, I mean, it's not that bad. There is some drops of the F word and lots of like, oh, they're queer, so that's why. Should I not say,
yeah,
should I not say that?
I think you're fine.
But like, I think that, okay, like, it's a lot of, like, it's clearly like was a normalcy, but it was just like, okay, grow up, you guys. Also, the use of I've talked about it and I didn't say it earlier, but the amount of times I hear the word jahoobies or or read that part where it says, she had a nice set of jahoobies. And I'm
It's a
just
great
like,
word.
ew.
We'll start using that.
The very first time I heard that, I was like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed by
But
this.
we did talk about this. I think he kind of uses that language to kind of set apart certain characters, because the really gross characters that we kind of don't like
Yeah.
definitely say like the hard F and things like that, and kind of degrade and are misogynistic towards
They are
women.
more misogynistic.
Where
You're
the
right.
better people we like are like, oh, she's a great gal. Like you'll really like her. You'll
Yeah.
love getting along with her. you
Yeah.
know?
No, I
So-
know. You're right. I think that he uses it for the characters to be like annoying kind of
Yeah.
pieces of shit.
Yeah, like I think even back then people would be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Are you talking like about a high school girl's boobs? Like that's weird.
Yeah, right. How
You
old
know?
are you, buddy?
And you work in the dump and you shoot rats? Like,
Yeah,
come on.
you're like in your like 50s. That's kind of gross, buddy. Anyways, so one thing, if you have not listened a lot, you might not know that we do spoil a lot. We're going to be going through this as if we
Big spoilers.
huge. No, I'm excited to talk about this with you because we've been holding back all week. So we will be just kind of like talking it out, hashing it out. So
Yeah.
just be forewarned, if you have not read this and you'd like to read it, you should still listen because, you're probably going to forget. But
Yeah, give us a listen.
give us a listen. Give us a
be a
try.
bad girl and have fun.
Yeah, just have a good time. And
Have a
then,
good time.
like,
and there will be no ending spoilers. This will just be halfway.
yeah, but next week
So
there will be.
Next week we will talk about the end. Yes.
But we're just going to be talking up to the end of chapter 9, so literally maybe 3 pages past the middle of the book.
Yeah.
We are halfway to home. So if you have not read it, you should definitely read it
Pause
and
right
join
now.
us along this journey. Or you can listen to the podcast, get inspired to read it,
Yeah.
and read it in like a week once you forget what we said.
or just listen to this podcast like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then
And our other ones.
don't read it. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
And then just have the best time. Okay. So getting into it, there's a lot of characters in this book.
There is a lot of characters in this book. Yes.
I'm not used to the third person perspective that Stephen King uses. I'm used to like one character, maybe two, that they flip back and forth, and it's like solely their perspective for the whole chapter. I was getting so confused when I was listening to the audiobook and it was going from this person to this person and this person. And I'm just like, oh, we are really jumping around. Who's talking? So it took me a second to like wrap my head around the characters.
Yeah, and I've kind of grown accustomed to that, especially with King. He usually has a lot of characters. And I think I even told you, like, The Stand, which is one of my favorite ones by him, which is about the apocalypse. Like a flu plague just wipes out, like, 99% of the world.
Yeah.
And all the good people go to Colorado, all the bad people go to Vegas.
What a premise.
Which, of course.
Yeah.
So there's, like, two groups of people, and then in between them, they do, like, individual people. And
Okay.
it'll be split up and all that, so...
But it's, like, tons of characters.
Tons of characters. But I kind of liked it in this one. Because it's like when your favorite character comes back, it's like seeing them again around the town. And when your least favorite character comes back, it's like, oh, here's, Dud who shoots rats and talks about teenage girls. So it's kind of like...
who just punches babies.
Yeah, or Sandy who punches babies. It's like you moved into town with them. So it was kind of cool how we did that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think at first, just this being my first book like this, that I was getting exposed to, it was a little bit overwhelming. I wasn't expecting it. So whenever I was listening, like I said before, it was just like, who's talking now? I did think it was cool when the milkman was going through the town and it was like the countdown basically to the end of the day. I was like, oh, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the day that both of the boys go into
Richie
the woods.
And Danny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But basically the milkman is going from house to house and it is each person's perspective as he goes from each house basically. Mm-hmm. And then whenever one of the boys dies, whenever Danny Glick dies, spoiler, I really thought that the parallel of like the funeral, like it goes kind of in the same order when it's talking about who all is there, and it's like in the same order as whenever the milkman went from house to house. I thought it was really cool. So I understand that there's like a sense of like this like world building and like a community sense.
Right.
That I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, with that being said, there's a lot of characters. We're just going to go over like a couple of the mains so that if you haven't read it, you're not completely lost. So Ben Mears is our main character. Susan Norton is the love interest who he meets in town.
And her parents are in it a decent amount. He goes to dinner. So
Their
that's
names,
Anne and Bill.
Yeah, Anne and Bill, which Bill likes Ben and Anne does not like Ben. She's very anti-Ben. She's pro Floyd. Yeah, right. Ugh. But Floyd is like a nut.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to Floyd. I think Floyd might be a vampire.
Might be a vamp.
Yeah.
And then there's
the killer for sure.
Yes. And then there's Mark. Who's Mark again?
Mark Petrie. He's the young boy.
That's right. See. Yeah. Okay.
Beat up the bully.
Yes, he beat up the bully. We love a good underdog. Very graceful.
Well, we talked for a split second. I thought that Mark was a younger version of Ben, because they're kind of described in the same way. They're both like kind of tall, skinny, black
very
hair.
willowy boys.
Yeah, very
graceful.
Graceful, yeah, like say graceful little boys.
Yeah.
But that was like kind of quickly. I was like, this can't be because there's. I thought it was like a multiple timelines thing where it's just like, Mark, and then you're gonna find out like that was actually Ben, but no. But as you said in the prologue, apparently it's.
Well, it doesn't reveal that. That's just who I think it is. Yeah. Okay. In the prologue, it's
it makes sense.
The tall man and the boy, and I think that it's Mark is the boy, and the tall man is Ben Mears, which.
Well, he's the most prevalent boy that's not a vampire at this point.
Yes, right. He's not dead or a vampire. Yeah. Then there's Matt Burke, who's the teacher, and I really like Matt Burke.
Yeah, he might be my favorite character. It kind of flipped. It was. I really liked Weasel. I wish Weasel was in it more because I really like Weasel. Yeah. Which he's kind of just like the town drunk, but he just seems like.
He's like, hey, everybody. He's very chummy and.
Yeah, and then my voice cracked, and then Parkins as well. I like Parkins a lot. I think he's really good. It makes me think of like Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water.
I really enjoy I really enjoy him.
Parkins, yeah.
yeah.
Not so fire and brimstone as Jeff Bridges in that movie, but just like how he talks,
How he's
he
like
looks.
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, kind of
He's
like
small
Jeff
town
Bridges
cop.
as Andy Griffith. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I picture him.
Well, and his so I'm listening to the audiobook right now, and the narrator, the voice that the narrator does for him is so like old timey, and it's like so cute, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's very endearing, like that it's old timey like that, but then it's like he's very like, well, like I have to interview you, so sorry to bother you. And
Yeah.
he's very polite, and then he's like, whenever Ben gets kind of pissy with him and like very defensive, which I'm like, why are you getting so defensive, Ben?
Yeah, Ben, what's going on with you?
Yeah,
buddy?
right. Well, it's just like,
Out of nowhere.
well, we've mentioned last time we had like a side convo that there might be something like some sort of ulterior motive with Ben that we like this. It talks
Yeah.
in the back in the book about his evil, not his evil past, but the sinister like background or whatever that he has with it.
Well, yeah, and like
His personal devils is what it says.
Yeah, and I think that it's just a hunch that I have because Stephen King always has kind of like weird twists in his book, like, and it just seems too perfect that he's like, his parents are gone, his aunt's gone, his ex-wife is gone, he's just kind of alone.
Yeah.
He comes back to
completely
this
alone.
town at this like random time that's not so random because there's vampires in it.
Well,
It's like, is he like a vampire hunter or like something, or he's evil? I don't know.
Well, and it talks about like boys going missing. I wonder if, and then it talks about him as a boy. I wonder if something, I mean, obviously we know that Ben saw the Marston,
Hubie.
Hubie Marston hanging in the house. And he believes that he actually saw that. But I wonder if something else is afoot. Like, I wonder if there's, because it talks about how Hubie was potentially like sacrificing young boys at the time that he was living there. I wonder if there's like something else that his character has not revealed yet, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and it could just
his
be
youth.
he's totally fine, and this house is just this idol that's just drew him back to the town.
Maybe so.
Subconsciously.
Well, and also the fact that he
Finish the
like
job.
went in there whenever he was younger.
Yeah.
Maybe it like tethered itself to him somehow. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, no.
Who knows?
As far as characters go, you already kind of mentioned who your favorite character is. Can you concretely say like
It
one?
would probably be Matt. Well, I don't know. No, they're my top three. It'd be Matt, Weasel, or Parkins. I'd be sad if any one of them. Probably be the saddest if Matt or Weasel. I don't know. I couldn't pick.
I'm gonna say
Matt, Weasel, or Parkins.
I think I like
Three-way tie.
I like Parkins. I like him a lot. I do think right now we're in the middle of the book, and Matt is just had his heart attack,
He did.
and I hope he doesn't die, and I'm very concerned about him. Whereas like I'm the most invested in Matt because we've been shown a lot more about his actual like personality and more about his like character. Weasel, I feel really bad for that guy. He seems like a really nice guy, but he chose
like
the
a
bottle.
war
Matt
hero,
talks
too.
about him. What'd you say?
Well, he's like a war hero, yeah, and he came back and just couldn't
Yeah.
get off the
That's
bottle.
fair. So yeah, it's between Matt and Weasel. I think I'm with you there. They're just so they're very inherently good and like very they're good guys. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and even like Mike Ryerson, who spoilers is a vampire now. I kind of liked him too. Like when he came up, it was
Yeah.
he was just like a small town kid, and even Matt talked about him how he was like really good in school, didn't cause trouble.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
He's the he's like the groundskeeper at the
At the graveyard.
The graveyard, yeah, sorry. He's a groundskeeper there. He just seemed like a good guy, and then like got messed up, which is kind of one of my favorite events of the book. And we talked about like he was basically burying Danny Glick because Richie went missing. They still haven't found Richie, and then Danny kind of came back. He was in and out of it, and then Danny died of kind of unknown circumstances. Mike's burying him in the graveyard, and he keeps feeling these like eyes upon him. And then he just, succumbs to the darkness after a while. But before he did that, he like he like broke open Danny's casket because he thought like his eyes were open. He had to
Well, yeah,
close
he had
his
like
eyes, you know.
like a psychological moment where
He was
like
hypnotized for sure.
yes, by who though?
Well, so I was
Through the
thinking
Wood
that
by Danny.
no, because he kept talking in the Marston house. He could see the top
He
of it.
could see the top of it.
And
You're
I
so
think one
right.
of, you know, Barlow or somebody was in there, like,
It's just weird to me to think like,
or maybe Danny did through the, I don't know.
yeah, but like this house is like hypnotizing people like in the gains of vampires. Like I guess like that's where I'm like, okay, how is this all gonna piece together? Is it gonna fit? Like that doesn't make sense
I
to
think
me.
it'll fit, but yeah. So, and we talked about it right after I read it, and then so he succumbs to the darkness, and then it was a few chapters later. Matt sees him in the bar, and he thought he was on hard drugs because he's like, he just looks terrible, you know,
Yeah.
could barely stay awake. And Matt's like, yeah, like I was digging this grave, and then I just woke up, and it was done, and then I got really tired again, so I walked down to the creek, and I fell asleep for like a day. And I was covered in leaves when I woke up, and then I felt okay, and then I went home and I slept for like 2 more days, and then it was just like these like moments of being awake, not being able to eat any food or drink water, and then just like sleeping for like another day, and then being like, it's probably just the flu, I don't know.
I'm gonna
You know?
go get a beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bar and get a beer.
Yes,
It was just so.
it was like
so,
super.
But it's kind of the time. It's like the 70s because I'm sure. You know, it's like, oh, rub some dirt on it. Oh, your stomach hurts. Go lay on your stomach. Like,
yeah,
it's just that kind of older way of thinking of like, I'm fine. You know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a scratch.
What am I gonna
and
do, die?
Your fingers like falling off.
yeah.
I'll just bandage it back up. I'll be fine. Come
It's
on.
fine.
Yeah.
No, so within that though, he goes to stay like Matt being not Matt. Yeah, Matt being the nice guy he is like
Invites him to his house. Yeah.
come stay at my house. It'll be okay.
Well, and as he's sitting there, he kind of sees the bites on his neck. He talked about his window kept being open even though he knew it was locked. And Matt is an English teacher, and I'm sure he kind of sees the signs of like, this has to be a vampire. You know, it's
Yeah.
too coincidental. That night, you know, Mike goes to sleep in his spare room. He hears Mike wake up, open the window and say, sure, of course you can come in. And then he hears a little kid laugh, which had to be Danny, or I guess could be Richie. Probably Danny, though.
It's probably Danny.
Yeah.
We have not seen Richie again.
Yeah.
I think Richie's dead.
Yeah, it has to be Danny. And then he hears like slurping sound, like sucking blood, basically. Yeah, and then I thought that was the end. I was really upset because I was just like, there goes Matt, of course.
I know.
Sweet old man. And then he calls Ben. Ben comes over, and they kind of assess the situation. And
Well, because he refuses to get out of bed. I think that's what it said. It was like,
yeah, he sat
I
there
didn't
for,
go
like,
upstairs.
hours.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was on the same level. 'Cause
Okay.
remember, he said he had to like creep downstairs finally to get to the phone.
Yes.
But yeah, he sat there till like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't blame him. He survived, didn't he? No.
I would have just like jumped out a window or something.
Well, that's where Danny was, jumping out in through the window.
Yeah, but then, long story short, you know, Mike kind of gets taken away. He gets pronounced dead, but everyone kind of keeps remarking of like, he doesn't look dead. Like, even Parkins is like, you sure he's dead? He looks perfect.
Yeah.
Like, he looks fantastic, you know. They take him away, and then later on, Matt is talking with Susan downstairs. He hears like a bunch of moving around upstairs. Matt's kind of over it. He's like, I'm going to put an end to this right now. He goes up. Mike is back. Full vamp, fangs, skin of a
Yes.
killer, and wants to suck his blood. Luckily, Matt found a crucifix somewhere.
He bought it after.
Oh yeah, he
This
bought
is
it
later.
and it's like, you know, repels the vampire away, and then he, you know, Mike kind of flies away, but Matt unfortunately has a heart attack.
Yeah.
Which I do kind of like that part because it's kind of like all the tropes we know about vampires are in this book. Like, can't do a crucifix. I'm sure garlic's probably going to come up, you know, and
I hope
silver,
so.
and they have to be invited in. They can't cross the threshold unless they're
Well,
invited
he wanted
in,
to
you know.
stake Mike through the heart, but
Yeah,
Ben was like, no. Which I
is
mean,
a good idea.
fair enough.
Definitely don't. Yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that.
But now, you know, Mike has come back. I'm sure. I mean, that's who he saw. He came back to his house. Anyway, so that's your favorite part, and I get it. Things are
It's
happening.
a long part, but yeah, it's a good section of chapters.
Well, yeah. Whenever you have the entrance of Mark.
Yeah.
And Mike, sorry.
Yep.
But not Mark. Jeez. You scrolled up and I couldn't see the character list anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Anyways, my favorite part, I'm not going to say all of the names because I can't remember both of the guys' names. I know that one is named Royal. So basically, the guy that sold the Marstonson house to the two vampires. So we've got
Larry Crockett.
What's his name?
Larry Crockett.
Larry Crockett,
Town
and then
rich guy.
And then say the two vampires' names again.
Straker and Barlow.
Thank
but
you.
Straker we think is the familiar.
Yes,
Barlow
I think,
is the vampire.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so Straker and Barlow bought this house, or really they did a weird deal with him, and he talks about
They basically bought it for $1.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, how is this benefiting Larry? Because he acts like it just is the best deal ever. It confused me a little bit.
I don't remember. Yeah, he's basically benefiting it. He's getting money somehow. I just don't remember.
Yes, he's benefiting in some way. I think maybe it's like a land thing. I don't know. But I was just like,
that's what
okay.
it is, yeah. Like
So
he actually owns the land, but they live in the...
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
Anyways, so Larry making this deal with the devil, basically, he promises to help them get settled in once they decide to come. So now that they've called him, he's sending two fellas to go fix up the house and get it ready for them.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever it's this one gentleman and then Royal, they both go and move all this heavy stuff into the house, and they have to lock up the basement. I just think it's really funny because he's grown. I'm just picturing two grown men with all the childhood little chants that they're talking about.
Yeah.
And all of the lore around this house where Hubie and Birdie both died. Birdie was murdered by Hubie, and Hubie hanged himself. So there's a lot of haunting kind of spookiness around the house. I think it's funny to imagine these two grown men running to the truck, and then
It's a creepy house.
And then the realization and dread that they both felt whenever they saw the locks that they forgot to put in the basement door.
Well, that had to be. I know a lot of that stuff was. They dropped off stuff at their, because they bought a laundromat too that they turned into an antique store. So a lot of that was antiques, but that also had to be when they brought Barlow over.
Oh, 100%.
Because they kept talking about the one box that didn't have any stamps or any shipping information.
Yeah, it was weird because it wasn't from overseas or something like that.
Well, it was, but it didn't have any of the overseas
That's
stamps
right.
or markings or anything. Yeah. So.
But yeah, no, I was like, oh my gosh, is the vampire just gonna pop out here?
Yeah.
I was like, is he gonna get him in the basement?
Yeah.
But then he didn't, so I was like, oh, okay, well maybe not. But no, I was like, there's got to be a vampire in one of those boxes, which had me thinking of the show What We Do in the Shadows, which we really like. If you watch Hulu, you should check it out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a show about vampires. It's very funny. Anyways, I really love that part though. Whenever he goes down the basement, and he hears the tiniest little bump or sound. I think it's a mouse.
Well, there's a big rat on the table, and then you heard a snapping sound.
Yeah, and he sees a pile of clothes which we think belong to one of the Glick
to
boys.
Richie, yeah, because it was
Richie.
pants, and it was a red shirt that they said he was wearing, and jeans.
Well, it just said he was wearing jeans. Wasn't that Glick boy wearing jeans? And it's
No.
isn't everybody wearing jeans?
And everybody wear jeans. Come on.
Anyway, so he hears that, he flips out, and I just thought it was really funny. But that was the very first moment in my memory where I was like, oh gosh, okay, things are happening. Vampires
Scary.
are in the town, and I was like, for sure somebody's gonna turn. But we still didn't have any information about the Glick boys. Danny was just sick at that point, and then so I really liked that part. That was my favorite, just because grown men being spooked out like little kids was funny to me.
Yeah, and we have some favorite quotes. I don't know if I have favorite quotes, but I mean we can kind of lead into you kind of mentioned you're not the biggest fan of his writing style because he's very descriptive.
Yeah, he's very it's very eloquent, and there's moments where he's waxing poetically, and then it's just about farming. It's just I'm on a part right after chapter 9, I started listening to it, and it was just like beautifully written, don't get me wrong, and I'm interested in it, but it's just talking about like stones and soil and digging and being in a town like this, and like how it's hard work living in a town like this, and how you have to dump the stones in a pile. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, buddy, like it's like a whole page of this poetry. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong.
Where's the kissing and the sex?
Where's my dragon riders?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm into it. I just, like, truly, I know I'm talking like a lot of crap. It's beautiful, but there's like moments where I'm just like, is it necessary for like this often to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, he's very descriptive.
I do like the descriptiveness. I do like the setting up the scene in that way. It's just a different writing style that I wasn't fully used to, so I'm getting my toes wet.
We'll win you over, don't worry.
What's that?
I said we'll win you over, don't worry.
I hope so.
We'll get you there.
No, for as of right now, speaking of winning me over, so my rating so far, I'm going to give it like a 3.2. I think it's going to grow into something a little higher, but where I'm at right now, it just feels almost like I've been like given an assignment reading, you know?
Jeez.
It's not bad. I mean, I always enjoyed I was a lit minor. I always enjoyed my reading assignments.
Acting like I'm making you read like the Scarlet Letter or something. Jeez.
I think it's good. I'm just saying, like, wrapping my head around this new writing style, I'm just like, hey, there's some moments where I'm like, okay, this is what happened last time. This is what the last character, and now we're on this character. So it's just like following along. 3.2 is not a bad rating. I think it's going to get better.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that we're in the top of the mountain and things are happening. I'm so excited. We're about to find out who all is a vampire. We're like in the moment of like multiple people are vampires at this point. Ben's in the hospital because Floyd, Susan's ex-lover, was being crazy. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening.
And he was dressed very strangely.
Yeah,
Dressed kind of like a alien would dress if they thought they'd be a normal person.
Yeah, he's for sure a
Trench
vampire.
coat, fedora, and gloves. It's kind of an odd combo to wear around.
It is a bit of a look. And
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, and that didn't even register until you were like, do you think he's a vampire? And I was like, 100%, absolutely, yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I didn't click until you said something.
Well,
I was like, why is he wearing gloves? Is he like trying to disguise himself? But then I was like, the lady that runs the inn, hotel, was like,
he came up to her, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, hey, this person, and Floyd is looking for you.
Yeah.
Or Floyd is here to talk to you.
Well, and everyone talked about how like out of character that is. Like,
Yeah.
he must just be super torn up about it. And yeah, it's like, it's such a small town. It's not like you're in a big city. Like, who are you hiding from?
Yeah.
Everyone knows what you look like.
No, you're right. I think it's to protect his skin from the sun.
Yep. And let's see. So the story is set in a small town in Maine. Will the story be affected if it took place elsewhere? I mean, like a bigger city, it would kind of have to.
I mean, I think that it would just be like less noticeable. I think that...
Yeah, be like a serial killer in New York. Be hard to track down.
Yeah, it would be a lot harder. I do think that if it was in a bigger place, that it would be... I mean, I don't know. There's... The fact of the matter is that by the end of it, I feel like the town is completely going to be vampires. Like, they're just, like, biting each other at this point and sucking each other's blood. Whenever we read the back of the book, I was like, okay, it's like a group of vampires are coming into the town. I really enjoy the fact that the town is what is turning into the vampires.
Yep.
I guess I just wasn't expecting that part. So I did enjoy the fact that I was like, oh, I was like, it's only 1 or 2 vampires? Okay.
So you
Where's
thought it was
the
just
rest of them?
like a circus car of vampires show up and just start waging war with...
Truly,
just
I was
like-
just like, they're just going to I thought it was going to be like that movie we watched.
30 Days a Night.
The
They
30
just
Days
show
a Night
up
where it
and
was just
start
like...
killing.
Yeah. But no, it's like 2 and they basically like flip this town. I'm just eager to see like, okay, now what happens? I want to see what's going to end.
Well, and it's almost because, I mean, it's just thought of it. It's like, why didn't they go to a bigger town? Because this is like a ghost town in such a small town. they'd run out of people pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, but so whenever you read the prologue, you'll see that the tall man and the boy were like reading a newspaper. He kept getting newspapers to show the boy so that, like, I think to comfort the boy, even though it's like, I don't know how comforting that'll be to see that his, like, everybody's gone. But it talks about how out of nowhere Salem's Lot has become a ghost town, and how strange it is that all these people have just like disappeared and moved on without telling anybody, you know?
Okay.
But it also talks about like, but you know, it doesn't make sense how this whole family without a trace has just like left with all these like unpaid things. And it was just like, there's an article in one of the newspapers about how suspicious that is. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that the reason why I don't know, maybe something to do with the house.
Yeah, it has to be. That house has to be like a
Beacon.
yeah, or just like a kind of like a magnetic field in the earth. You know,
Yeah.
it's like something's bringing evil to this town.
And I guess it's like just like a more central place, and like a city would be more like
Yeah.
large and ambiguous.
Yeah.
Okay, what other question do you think?
What do you think this tells us about small town life? Are people basically good or basically bad?
I don't know, cause like I almost completely forgot about that character Sandy and her baby.
Sandy.
Her baby Sandy. Don't punch the baby, Sandy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Whenever I listen to that part, I like my mouth, like my jaw dropped open, cause so basically she punches her baby in the face
Little baby Randy.
like 3 times. Like she punches the crap out of him, and then
Yeah,
afterwards,
pretty what would be the word? I guess not neglected.
well, she like
Covered
shakes
in,
him to him
covered in
like,
poop and shaking and hit and
yeah,
and Roy, the dad, isn't. I mean, he just goes out and
No.
gets drunk and then comes home and
yeah. He comes home and he's like, he's like, it's pretty obvious that she did hit the baby. Like
yeah.
she was just like, no, he fell off the changing table, and he was like, no, you hit him, didn't you? And he like called her out immediately, but then like he was super horrible to her as well, which I mean, like, screw her, I don't really care. But it's also just like, well, yeah, this is just a sad tale of people that had a baby and got married too young.
Well, the same with Dud. You know, he just like lives in the dump and kills rats and
Yeah.
is super weird and creepy.
Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, that's just like that kind of behavior being like a normal for someone. Sandy's, that is evil with a capital E. And yeah, Dud,
Yeah.
just being like very cynical and kind of angry. I mean, he hasn't done anything wrong to this point.
No, he's just kind of a weird guy.
Yeah, he's an oddball.
Seems pretty weird and evil.
He's pretty skeevy.
Pretty
That's all.
skeevy. I mean, even just all like the women in town that just gossip and spread rumors and
Yeah, there's more. What's her name? Maureen?
Maud or something.
Maud. Yeah, it's on M. This old lady that she's like listening into phone calls.
Well, they're all on party lines, which you could do back in the day.
That's crazy.
You like shared a line with
The
5
whole
other
town.
houses.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was set up. I mean, I'm too young for remember party line, but I remember people talking about them. Yeah, it's like you and a few other houses would like share a phone, basically, or share a phone line.
So you could like,
So you could like pick it up and be like, "Hey, I need to use the phone. Can you finish your conversation later?" You know?
oh wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like a lot of people to like share a phone with.
Well, I think it's mostly like I don't know. It's not like the whole town. I think it's just like
It's 5 people. That's
strips
crazy.
of
Yeah. No.
houses. Yeah.
So well then that nosy bitch. No wonder
Yeah.
she was just like listening to phone calls. Trying
Yeah,
not to
and
breathe too
maybe these people aren't that bad. Maybe it is just the house corrupting the town. You know, it's kind of like
Well, just the
when
fact.
Harry has the Horcrux or when Frodo has the ring around his neck, and you just kind of slowly turn.
Yeah, it's just like making
Corrupts
them
you.
all corrupt.
Yeah,
No, my thing though is the fact that it talks about how. So in the story, the Marstasons, Marston, sorry. The Marston family, the dude, he apparently was like sacrificing children. Like there's like a rumor that they barely talk about it. That's what Ben is kind of uncovering, the sinister past of this house. Not only did he murder his wife and hang himself, but before that he was apparently like stealing children and like sacrificing them for like devil worship.
Yeah, Matt tells him that, and it's only known to like the old folks in town.
The old folks, but it's just
been
like
there for a while.
Crazy to me that these like little town ladies and like old men, did they just not do anything? Like if this was like a widespread like gossip talk that was before he died, it's like, why didn't anybody do anything? So I guess that's another...
I mean, that could just be gossip too. Like maybe Hubie wasn't bad. Maybe vampires came and he just decided to kill his wife. And because remember, the house was like booby trapped when they found him.
That's true.
So maybe the wife killed herself. He hung himself and then booby trapped everything because people were coming for him. Maybe he was just paranoid. I don't know.
That could be it. Yeah, I don't know.
He could be totally innocent, but it doesn't sound like it.
No. I'm really excited to figure out some answers here.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? So we're kind of done with our questions. What do you think? What do you think's coming next? So we can wrap this up with a bow. What do you think the ending's going to be?
Okay, so I think that we're going to get some clarity on the backstory of Ben a little bit more. I'm hoping that there's some sort of twist. I think that clearly him and Mark got out of the town, but they're coming back, which I don't know. Maybe they thought that they had escaped and everybody else was just lost to them, but then they realized that there's actually some people still in town, so they have to go back and save them. Or there's like the house and they have to like destroy the house to end this for good. I don't know. I think it's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen with the house. They're gonna like destroy the house to end it so that it can be done.
Yeah, has to be done.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I didn't read the prologue, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Ben's going to be kind of the hero.
The prologue doesn't give very much away. I mean, it's just like we know that they get out.
Yeah, but they go back.
But they're going back, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking something along the lines of the house needs to be destroyed. But like, I'm eager to find out like more about the vampires that are currently turned, because we talked about are they just as like cognitively aware as the current vampires that moved into the town? The two that moved into the town seem very like sophisticated and like manipulative and like seductive, whereas the ones that are turned that are like townspeople
are like little minions,
are
like bloodthirsty.
Yeah, they're just like bloodthirsty, which I mean maybe it's because they have just gotten turned and they're like, because that's another trope of like vampires is like the craze of like bloodlust whenever they first.
You gotta learn to control it.
Yes. Yeah. You've never read Twilight. Have you ever done any other vampire books?
Nope.
No, this is your first. Oh, well, I'm gonna probably expose you to at least one of my romantasy. It's not Twilight. I've got like my favorite book has vampires, and it's non-traditional. So, but they don't sparkle, so don't worry. They're not waxy and bald either, though. So,
well, that's good.
That is good.
Okay, well, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at Not My Usual Read.
Yep, Jenny's been killing it on the post there.
Yeah, we post all of the books that we're currently reading. We also have a lot of different posts about our TBRs. If you'd like to get books and read with us a couple weeks in advance, we do go through a lot of reading. Obviously, we're pretty in love with it. Definitely follow us on Spotify or
Apple Podcast or iHeartRadio,
wherever you listen to your podcast. And we're super excited to finish this one up with you guys next week.
Yep. Until then, we'll talk to y'all later.
Happy reading.